Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Double Running Talk Show. This is your host, Briston Rains, and today we have Greg. Greg, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm glad to be on. I'm Greg Sisengrath. I'm a ultra runner, running coach, dad.
Shout out to Team Dirt and Vert, right?
And co-founder of Team Dirt and Vert. Thanks for reminding me. They'll be happy that you helped remind me of that. So excited to be on.
Yeah, guys, Greg, he just ran the Bear 100. It's a 100-mile endurance race. You want to tell us a little bit more about the race, what it is, and where it's at?
Yeah, the Bear is a point-to-point, so it starts in Logan, Utah, which if you've never been, that area has probably one of the most beautiful falls that I've ever seen. Apparently, it's very short. We were in that same area just last year, Salt Lake City, and didn't look anything like Logan. So Logan, Utah has an incredible fall. So the race goes from Logan, Utah and finishes at Fish Haven, Idaho. And it finishes around Bear Lake, which has probably the most scenic and brutal descents for a finish of a race. Great race. It's a tough one. It's one of the few hard rock qualifiers. That's why we chose it. Just trying to build up those tickets, and when we eventually get in, hopefully the body will be ready. But definitely a tough race, but highly recommended.
What's the elevation gain look like on the?
It is right at 22,000.
Wow.
There's a few very, it's up there with one of the hardest races. I didn't finish as well as I thought I could, but it's not as high as far as altitude. I think we top out about 9,000, which might be high to a lot of people, but it's not like Leadville or anything like that. But yeah, just you're either going up or you're going down. Not a lot in between.
Well, yeah, being from Texas, how were you able to prepare for this? Because Texas, we have some hills, we have some pretty good hills, but we don't have nowhere near 9,000 feet of elevation gain.
Yeah.
And I think it's like 800 feet elevation gain here. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've been doing mountain races for the last 4 or 5 years. So I've had to kind of game it as best as I can. You can do as much hill repeats as you want, and that obviously build the leg strength. But it's really hard to sustain, or it's hard to replicate a 6-mile climb at 15% grade. I have the benefit of a Nordic track treadmill that goes up to 40%. I got that a few years ago. It's costly, but it's probably one of the best investments, especially if you have a family. You can't get out and do all the tough trails every Saturday and Sunday. It takes a lot of time. So having that helps out. I do a lot of strength, a lot of squats, a lot of step ups, lunges, all of that, and just work your core and your stability. So you can still, I'm not going to say I do well for a flatlander, but you can still succeed. I have one DNF under my belt at Wasatch. I will chalk that up to fractured ribs in a mountain bike accident before the race. So I'm not going to quite blame my body for that DNF. But you can definitely still do all those races that you see on Instagram, all the hard races that you want to go out to, while being a flatlander. You just have to work a little bit differently. We don't have the ability to just step out of our door and get in massive vert. So we just have to play around with what we have.
Yeah. How many miles a week were you doing going into this race?
Yeah, I'm probably a bad example. I'm a lower mileage runner. If I'm a good week, I'm 40, 50 miles. So, and that's not huge. You have marathoners that'll knock that out. That's probably their cutback week. But for this week, or for this specific training cycle, I did have a 100-mile week, and I got it in my head that this is probably a good chance. I need some long miles. I had some 60-mile weeks. That's probably the extent of it. The 100-mile week just took, while the body was fine, it just takes a lot of time. And I have a full-time job, a coaching side gig, and a family, so that is not something that I could maintain, week after week, but I could, definitely sneak it in. So that's probably a good, it's a good lesson that, you can sneak in some super big weeks just to maybe, I would say, I guess, overreach a little bit. But that wouldn't be sustainable for me personally. I just don't have the time to get to do that regularly.
Yeah, you hear about these guys going in doing like 200-mile weeks, like these crazy things, and I'm like, man, I don't think I would ever do a 200-mile week, going a 200-mile race. That's just crazy. So like right before the race, did you do that? Was that the 50-mile run that I saw you did with those other guys? What was that?
No, I actually didn't. There was the 50-mile Yeti challenge.
Yeah.
I didn't actually do that. I did. Actually, you know what? Did I do any big weeks prior? No, I did. Probably the longest thing I did was just a FKT attempt on a local route here, and it's just 20 miles or 22.
Okay. Wow. So you went into a 100-mile race with 20 miles just as your biggest long run?
Yeah. Myself, I just, after a certain amount of races under your belt, I just don't know how much you need to do a 30-mile run. I will typically get that kind of mileage in a race, and I think that's good enough. I will say that in July I did 100K. So, that was just 8 weeks ago. So I don't think there's no need to go and do another long effort in between. I'd rather my philosophy is you do a 30-mile training run. You really need to take some time off, at least 2-3 days, just to let your body bounce back, because you're putting a lot of damage. You're getting some benefit, but you're also putting a lot of damage on your body. So my philosophy is to be able to get the maximum reward out of a long run and still be able to just maintain the next day. Monday I like to do a recovery day. Tuesday I want to bounce back and do a run. So if it may look good on Strava that you did a 50-mile run, but then if you're not running, the next 3-4 days, you're kind of set back. So how much of a benefit is that really? So that's really my philosophy. And again, we've been running these trail ultras for several years now. So I think a lot of that benefit of doing a super long run is, practicing your fueling. And a lot of it is mental, to know that when you get past 26 miles is the typical, I just need to get past the marathon, or you get past the 50K. You need to know in your head that your body can do it, and your body and your mind can do it. But if you've proven that to yourself in races or long races, how many times do you need to do it in training? So that's just my philosophy.
Yeah, that's some good philosophy, guys. Greg's also another guy y'all should definitely listen to. Like you said, he does a part-time, not part-time, but he has a side gig to where he coaches a lot of athletes, and he hangs out with Team Dirt and Vert. And is that the group that you coach, Team Dirt and Vert?
Well, that's Team Dirt and Vert is it grew from just a few friends where we do our typical group runs, and we're trying to get more people out to the trails, like out to cross timbers, trails that people aren't going out to. And it was more something that kind of started as a hashtag. Hey, we like dirt, we like vert, and we would, we started hashtagging it, and then we thought it'd be fun to get some folks together. And we thought it would be fun to do a 50K out at cross timbers. And we said, we'll do it, and to see if anybody else wants to come. And it turned out 30 people wanted to come, and that's really how it was born. We were just messing around, and I'm not yet willing to call us race directors or anything like that, but we definitely are trying to build a community, get people that just are running road that want to try trails, or people that are already running trails that want to expand their distance or some of the difficulties. So we're just trying to build an inclusive community, bring people in, and share the miles together. So my coaching is Team Ninja coaching, so it's a little bit separate. A lot of it overlaps.
Yeah.
A lot of the trail runners that I coach are running with us on Thursdays and Sundays. But yeah, it's been good to it's grown quite a bit. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic this year, we haven't been able to hold any of the events that we would typically do. Last year we held 3, and all the money that we acquired was donated to the trails just for maintenance, because they do a lot of good work. So unfortunately we haven't got to do any of those, but hopefully we've got a little night run coming up to give people experience on how to continue eating while overnight while it's cold.
I'll be at that one. I made sure I'd come back from college to run that one.
Yeah.
So it's on Halloween, right? Halloween night?
Halloween. So I think we're going to try to encourage people to have costumes, and it should be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Yeah, guys, for everyone listening out there, I've gone out a couple times. Team Dirt and Vert is definitely a fun group to run with. They got some crazy fast guys, and they also have some people for every group, and it's just a really cool group to go and run with. So let's get into the meat of this. So tell us about the Bear 100 before the race. Tell us stories from the race, and then we could get to more about it after.
Yeah, so it was me and a friend, Jill Price, who I met at Leadville a few years ago, and last year we ran Wasatch together. I say we ran together, but sorry, my dog just ran up behind me. She finished. I did not. She's a pretty awesome runner. So I went out with her crew on Thursday. The race is a Friday start. We rode up just in time to get to pack and pick up, drop off our drop bags, have some dinner. And it's a 6 a.m. start. You come out to the edge of Logan, Utah, and you come out into this really nice neighborhood. I mean, it looks like, I think actually Post Malone lives in that neighborhood. So
really? Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's mansions, and you literally just start running up this street sideline with mansions, and it hits into Dry Canyon, and then you hit the trail, and that's it. Then you're literally on single track for almost the whole 100 miles. You cross a few roads, but it's a gorgeous course. Again, I think it's probably the most scenic course as far as that I've seen in a while. It's very scenic, and it's pretty cool that you go from Utah to Idaho, and it's funny when you cross that state line, the weather changed quite a bit. It got cold. It got cooler. You get to see pretty much everything.
Yeah, I was looking at the pictures on Instagram that you post. I think you posted one like 40 minutes ago, an hour ago, something like that.
Yeah,
and it looks pretty amazing.
And I would tell you that picture again. It looks gorgeous, but it doesn't do it justice, because when you're at the top, and I guess you're about 7 miles left, you get to the top you get to the last climb, which is a brutal climb. The last aid station is at mile 92, and there's a guy there that said, "Hey, one little small bump," and he's smiling the whole time, and then it's all downhill. And I was like, why are you smiling like that? Because it's straight up. It's probably one of the steepest climbs that I've been on. And it's probably only a mile and a half, but it took forever. It would have been a hard climb on fresh legs. So you climb up, you see Bear Lake, and we're close to the finish, but it's still a good 6 miles away. And if your quads aren't good enough to run down, it's a long stretch, and it was for me. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous finish. The lake is is a turquoise blue, just as pretty as the ones you'll see in Leadville and any other Colorado races. But it's a tough finish because you'd like to be able to run, but if you can't, it just makes it for a little bit longer day.
Yeah. When did it start to hurt for you? Because some people, like, it hurts like mile at the first like quarter and then the first 50. When did it start to hurt for you?
Well, I will say it doesn't necessarily hurt, but I always seem to start doubting my decisions around the marathon mark. And the marathon, I say the marathon to 40 miles. I'm like, why do I do this? And I think I've gone through it every race. Like I'm done with hundreds. It's just stupid. It hurts. I'm tired. But then after that, I think when it gets closer to dark, because in the afternoon it's tough wherever it is. Even in Utah, it felt hot, and I think once you get past those moments and it starts to cool off, I feel like it breathes new life into me, and I feel fine. For me, for this race specifically, it did get tough around past the 100K mark because it was a little colder, obviously dark, and then we were pretty much spread out. So it's when you don't see other runners or someone's not behind you to kind of instinctively, you want to stay in front of them, or if you see someone in front of you, you want to follow that light. That was a tough stretch. I wasn't picking up my pacer until mile 75, and I told him when I picked him up, it's like I should have had you start earlier because I think I slowed down a little bit, and so that was a tough stretch. Just you're just by yourself in your own mind, and when you're tired, your mind's not necessarily a good place to be by yourself. So sometimes you just need the distraction of at least other runners, maybe that you can attach onto, or at least have your pacer. So that was a tough stretch for me, but I chose it. I wanted to. Even though I had a pacer, he was local. He volunteered. I was ready to actually do the whole thing on my own. We definitely still had Jill's crew to help me out at some of the aid stations. But I've got some long crazy stuff in the future, and I really wanted to kind of test myself. So I definitely chose a hard route, and yeah, it was definitely tough. Got past it. That could have been faster, but I'm still, I'm definitely happy with the result. I've had a good race. I'm not sidelined with any kind of injuries, and if I had to run, I could run today.
Yeah, that's awesome. How long did it take you to run this thing?
31 hours and 45 minutes.
31 hours. That's a long time.
Yeah, I was
Any
pretty
sleep?
much. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Did you get any sleep or anything like that?
I did. I took 2 10-minute naps on the trail. It's not always recommended. I did it last year at a race, but my pacer was there, and I told him I was sleepwalking. That race started at noon. Is Cruel Jewel in Georgia, and that has 33,000 feet of vert. So that's insane. I just feel like when you're tired. And I was sleepwalking and kind of leaning. That was the first time I did it because I'm probably like a lot of people. You're just like, I can't fall asleep. You never know what's going to happen. Am I going to wake up? Yeah. But I woke up rejuvenated after that 5 minutes. So this time I was on my own in the middle of the night, and I just needed a little break. So I took out my phone, set an alarm, set it right on my chest, and lay down right by a pine tree where it was soft, and I got 10 minutes, but you're never really completely out of it. Everybody that walks, all the other runners that walk by are shining their headlamps on me to make sure there's not a dead guy laying there. That would wake me up. And I did it twice. I did it one more time with my pacer right about 5 a.m. because typically what I've found is that's a tough spot for me. It's still dark. You're about to hit the second sunrise usually. But when you get to that second sunrise, sun typically rejuvenates you and you feel more awake. But I just I couldn't make it that extra hour and a half, so I needed another 10 minutes, and he let me nap. He woke me up, and we were good to go for the rest of the way. Me and a few friends are doing Cocodona 250 next May. So, which
Wow,
is
I
again
saw that.
250 miles. So we're definitely going to be sleeping. So I use that as an excuse to take a little bit longer of a dirt nap than I typically would, because we're trying to find out what the optimal time to nap is without setting yourself back, because obviously you can't take hours. Your body's just going to lock up, I think. But you would be surprised how much 5 minutes can help you. I think people are afraid that I can't give up those 10 minutes or those 5 minutes. But if you're able to take that nap and run better than you were before, it's definitely time that you can. Sorry, it's definitely. Am I still there? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you did.
It's definitely time that you can make up somewhere else by not hanging out at aid station, or you're just really going to speed up. So everybody's a little bit different. I get people that won't even sit down at aid station. I'm fine with sitting down because I know I'm going to get up. So it's different for everybody, but I definitely think it's helped me. So
Yeah. So what was the aftermath like? You crossed the finish line. How'd you feel as soon as you crossed the finish line?
I won't lie. I was pretty tired or out of it the last 45 minutes. My pacer Bryson was like, "You're pretty quiet," and I was just trying to get to the finish. And I felt great. I felt great afterwards. And you get that mini adrenaline rush, so you don't feel tired anymore. And it's just, I just wanted to get out of my clothes and put on some pants and a sweatshirt,
Yep.
eat some Cheetos, and get a burger. And so we just had to wait to get to dinner. But yeah, honestly felt fine afterwards. And there's really, I guess once you can stop, everything feels a lot better.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, what advice would you give to someone that's maybe running their first ultra in the future, or getting ready to run their first ultra?
I would say don't be intimidated by the distance. Obviously, and I'm speaking from a person that I'm not an elite runner. I'm not. Well, it depends on the race and the day, but I'm not going to be on the podium. So I'm just trying to. I'm trying to get out there, do something really cool, and push my body and my mind past a certain point that not a lot of people get to experience. Don't be intimidated by the distance. It's all, for me, everything, those 50-mile races is 100-mile, 100K, 100-mile. It's after a certain point, it's all mental. You're not going to be able to run as well as you typically would at the shorter distance. So just making yourself move. It is all about what you have up top. So even if you're not fast, if you're able to continue to move and you're not wasting time at aid stations, I saw plenty of people that were in front of me that I would just catch at aid stations because they'd still be sitting there. They would take 30 minutes. There's time that you can catch up. But yeah, it's the the community of those races. Don't be intimidated by the distance, and don't feel like everybody's following the elite ultra runners, or don't follow Jim Walmsley, because not everybody can run 175-mile weeks. So don't feel like you have to run 70 80-mile weeks to be successful at a race. You can still do it with less. You just have to be mentally stronger, and you have to have a training plan that's sustainable for yourself. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, man, it's a pretty crazy story. I think it's crazy that you ran the Bear 100 being from North Texas area and not really having mountains available to you or anything like that. You were able to just pull it off with that many miles a week. That's crazy to me, man. I appreciate you for being on the podcast. Do you want to go ahead and tell people where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, I am everywhere on social media. It'll be Ultra Ninja Runner, no E, because I ran out of characters. So NR. So Ultra Ninja Runner. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. Most of my content's on Instagram. And then go to Team Dirt and Vert on Instagram as well. We're trying to post a lot of video, a lot of content to get people excited for trails. But yeah, those two places, and you should be able to find me at the others. Just kind of the link through on the bios. So those are the best places. I try to keep the Instagram as my running content. The Facebook is more my family, my kids, and Twitter is where I rant about other stuff. So probably not as much running stuff there, but yeah, definitely go to Instagram.
Yeah, guys, I'll make sure to leave his stuff in the description. So whenever this uploads to wherever it's going to be, y'all be able to find all of his stuff. I want you guys to go give him a follow, comment on all his stuff, check out his stuff, especially if you're in the North Texas area. That was Greg, guys. Thanks so much for listening, and make sure you tune in every Saturday. We have a podcast every Saturday. Make sure you tune in next week. We're going to have the owner from Trail Racing Over Texas on the podcast, actually. So make sure you guys tune in then. So thanks, guys, and I'll see y'all next Saturday.